So, with episode 41, this is still part of the summary that's in italics in your photocopied book or in the textbook. We kind of do a little bit of a flashback, and it gives us a little bit of information about why the Geats are worried that the Swedes are going to attack them. And so there's this story about two brothers, Efor and Wolf, who are brothers who were fighting for Hygelac. And Wolf is mortally injured, and his brother Efor wants revenge. So he kills the Swedish hero Ungetho. And although Efor is rewarded by being presented with Hygelac's daughter, as this was customary to use women as rewards or peace treaties or parts of blood pacts, the belief presently is that the Swedes are going to attack in order to take revenge for this murder that happened long ago. All the Geats view their current situation as being one that there is no leader. They are fearful that no one will be able to protect them as Beowulf did. All the Geats mourn his death. There is no music, no celebration. There's no decorative dress. And they understand that a funeral pyre must be built and that all the treasures must be burned as well. There's an image of looking at Beowulf alongside the corpse of the dragon, which is described as being 50 feet long. And we get a little bit of backstory that the dragon's treasure was actually cursed, and that any man who actually entered the cave and touched or took any part of the treasure would be doomed as well, unless they were asked to enter the cave by God. Neither Beowulf nor Wiglaf was asked to enter the cave by God, so Beowulf has paid the ultimate price in his death, and Wiglaf will pay the price, and that Geatland is doomed. In episode 42, again, this is still in italics, we get a little bit more backstory about the fact that the dragon is cursed because the treasure that was the dragon's was actually stolen as well from an ancient dynasty. So the dragon is punished because of that through its own death. Beowulf was ignorant to what God had decreed, and so he had no idea that the treasure was cursed. And Wiglaf actually speaks to the Geats for the first time as king. And he repeats the story of Beowulf's battle to pay homage and to kind of display appreciation for their late king's greatness. Wiglaf then asks the bravest and best of the Geatish warriors to enter the cave and take out the treasure. Here's the problem. Everyone who goes in to enter and take out treasure and touch the treasure is going to be cursed. So this is going to now indicate that all men are now cursed. The Geatish people build a giant tower, or they plan to build a giant tower that will be seen far and wide on the edge of the cliff on the entrance to Geatland. And in this tower, Beowulf, his treasures, and all of his most important belongings, as well as his body, will be held. So this will essentially be his tomb. The dragon corpse is then rolled down the cliff and into the ocean, and we end episode 42 with Beowulf being brought down the cliff to kind of be a part of this funeral pyre. So the final canto of Beowulf is episode 43. In your book, it starts on line 843, and it is entitled The Farewell. So we have images of the tower that is on the cliff that becomes Beowulf's tomb, and that shields and helmets and armor and banners are all hung. There's no mention of treasure, but it is understood that Beowulf's ashes and his treasure are both kind of placed in this giant tower or this tomb. We then have the singing from an old woman. And what she is doing is she is predicting the future of Geatland. And she describes terror and captivity and death and sorrow and more fighting. And the fact that Geatland will be forever changed now that Beowulf is dead. And that although Wiglaf may have the characteristics of a great leader and a hero, he will not be able to be as successful or be as impactful as Beowulf was. We have the final images of the 12 men riding around the tower, singing songs of Beowulf and lamenting their lord. This is a heroic idea. The idea that the hero dies and all of his people mourn him and reflect on his amazing conquests and all that he brought to the kingdom. So the Anglo-Saxon listener would appreciate appreciate all of this. The narrator states that this is how great men should be remembered, that they should be notorious after death. They should never be forgotten. And that's really a nice way to kind of go back to the beginning of our story. If this truly is an epic and it is a cycle, this indicates that the story of Beowulf will live on, and so will the legacy of Beowulf.